Whether it be soda, Kool-Aid, or wine, get your drinks all the way together. Because this is your boy Walt B, and we're here with the Walt B Connection, bringing you the best in today's interviews and insightful videos. Now, what I need you to do is go ahead and click that like button, subscribe to this channel, and go ahead and leave a comment. We'll take care of the rest.
Forget about the strain and all about the pain we feel. One more time to make it loud. Let the neighbors hear.
Earth is ghetto. I wanna leave. Can you beam me up? I'm out on the street by the corner store. You know the one on 15. Got a bright shirt on, so I'm easy to see. I've been down here stranded indefinitely. I can't reach my planet, but I need to leave. You should see these people. It's hard to believe how they treat each other. It's hard to conceive. Oh, Earth is ghetto. I wanna leave. Oh, Earth is ghetto. I wanna leave. I wanna leave. I wanna leave. I wanna leave.
Tonight, we want to take a moment and remember Cicely Tyson, an actress who was the epitome of class, who was the epitome of success, and black don't crack. Her career spanned over 73 years. She was active from the years 1948 to 2021. Thank you, Cicely Tyson. We will forever remember you. Hello, everybody. Tonight we are here with another video on this evening. We are here to celebrate the end of the first month of 2021. Y'all, we made it. We made it. Now, I know Corona is still 19, but we are finally in the year 2021. And so what I need you to do is I need you to click that like button. I need you to subscribe to this channel, and I need you to share this video. Get all your friends in here. Tell them to come on. Get in here, because we are getting ready to have the discussion. If you know someone who is gifted, who is talented, and who seems to be struggling under the weight of the gift and the talent, I want you to have them come on, because we're getting ready to have an amazing conversation on tonight that could possibly help them in many, many ways. The weight of the art. There are a lot of people who are struggling under the art, under the weight of the art. And this is because in many cases, their cries and their pleas for help go unheard. We chalk them up to being crazy. We really don't give them the benefit, as you would, of the doubt. So tonight I have an amazing guest who should be here any moment now, by the name of Daryl Walters. But before he comes, I just want to talk to you about a few things that you probably didn't know. And that is that many of the artists that we enjoy and that we love, they struggle with mental illness. Some of them struggle with, depression. Several of them have been suicidal, a lot of eating disorders. And this is because a lot of times there is a weight that comes along with the gift. We have the yin and the yang. But when you start talking about people that are creative, you parents, if you have a creative child, don't shun that child. Don't beat the creativity out of him or her. Be there for them. Listen to them. They may be a little outside of the box. I have a nephew that is out of the box. But when I tell you this guy is like uberly creative, he can take a pencil and draw just about anything that you see. But his personality is on 50. Forget 10. It's on 50. Do you hear me? It's on 50. And if you're not careful, you'll beat it out of him, or you will cause them to repress a part of their personality. Before I bring on my guests, I wanted to talk to you guys about a singer I just found out about this week. I didn't know anything about Jenny Rivera. She was a Hispanic artist that her whole life was full of bullshit. Like her whole life was full of trauma. Her daughter slept with her husband. She was raped. She finally became famous, and then she was raped after her first music video shooting. Like it was just so much. And these are things that have been confirmed in her life. And then to end it all in 2012, she had finally made, major status, as far as the world is concerned. But I want you to know, when you're gifted, it doesn't matter whether you're on the main stage or whether you're on a small stage, pressure is pressure. And she finally made it to what we would deem the big stage. And in America, she was like the second top selling female of any music genre. I believe she had sold like 15 million records up to that point in her career. And that was more than like Rihanna and Beyonce. She was up there with like Taylor Swift. She was, competing with, the major hitters, but her life ended because of a plane crash. And so I'm saying that. And then I wanted to bring up, Karen Carpenter, who was an amazing singer back in the day. Of course, the Carpenters, the family that were just, flat out phenomenal. And unfortunately, her life came to an end because of an eating disorder. But if you just do a little research, how you doing tonight, Margaret? Thank you for coming. Welcome to The Connection. Hey, you guys, before I go any further, I do need you to get your drink together. Hold on, there it is. Hold on, wait, hold on. Oh, yes. That is what tonight was missing. Woo! Yay, God. But Karen Carpenter was she was an amazing singer. She sang on one of my favorite songs, We've Only Just Begun. But that was horrible. Maybe I had a little bit too much of that liquor in that drink. But I got my notes here so I didn't forget what I was going to say. She suffered with an eating disorder, and then she ended her life because of an eating disorder. She was really, really depressed. She felt like her parents loved her siblings more. And then upon research, they found out that the mother did favor the son. And it was just a whole lot of weight that went on behind her. So we have Jenny Rivera, we have Karen Carpenter. And this isn't something that is, it's not race specific. It's not gender specific. This is something that is a human problem. So if you know someone who is gifted and you know someone who is creative, don't ignore them. Be there for them. Don't put extra pressure on them. Now, I'm not saying that you pacify them. This is not what I'm saying. But I am saying there seems to be a target on the backs of those who are creative. Creative people, artists, are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide than someone who is just out living their life, Joe Blow. And I want you to understand that creativity is not just singing. This spans throughout all the arts. You have Robin Williams, who unfortunately was the one who committed suicide. He wasn't a singer, but damned if he wasn't a good comedian, a good actor. He was one of the best. And so tonight I have an amazing young man that's going to join me on screen this evening. He is creative and he has an amazing story. And we're just going to explore what it means to be human, love God, and be gifted. And I know you're going to get something out of tonight, because this is a conversation that absolutely needs to be had. I want you all to watch this, and we'll be back with my guest. Tonight, we want to take a moment and remember Cicely Tyson, an actress who was the epitome of class, who was the epitome of success, and black don't crack. Her career spanned over 73 years. She was active from the years 1948 to 2021. Thank you, Cicely Tyson. We will forever remember you.
I don't know how Miss Charlene keeps writing these songs that are ministering to me, but the song just says, blocking you blesses me. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? Blocking you blesses me. But this is the part I really like. It just says, your opinion doesn't count. Not an inch or an ounce. Blocking you. Oh, I'm feeling this thing. I'm feeling this thing. Blocking you. You see, baby, you couldn't act right, so you lost the privilege, huh? Blocking you. Come on, come on, come on, come on, somebody, come on, somebody. Blocking you. But can I take it up just one time? Come on and bless him. Lift those dirty hands and say it's blessing me.
That's right. It is blessing me. I figured I would go ahead on and play that before y'all got on here trying to tell us what we can and can't say, because we're going to talk about all the things of the things on tonight. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing well. Listen, blocking you is blessing me. Blocking you is blessing me.
Your opinion doesn't count. Not 1 inch or an ounce. Go ahead. I ain't got that range like you got.
Blocking you is blessing me right now. Oh, now.
Yes. All right. All right. I'm glad you got that out the way. Because I was gonna ask you to sing before the end of the night. I wanted you to know that.
Absolutely.
How has your week been, Daryl?
My week has been well. It's been like everybody else. 2021, 2020, a lot of changes, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. I have to tell you, honestly, Walt, I was a little nervous for this interview when you hit me up and asked me to do this interview.
Why?
I'm a little nervous. Just because of the sincerity and the topic of it. And we've talked off the air, and a lot of people who know me know, on some level I'm a private person.
Right.
So, but I said, listen, whatever you want to ask me, whatever you want to know, whatever conversation you want to have, I am open to it. So
awesome.
Tell your listeners, tell your people to, if they've seen me around or heard me singing and they've had questions or they want to know, tonight is probably the night to tap in. Yeah.
This is a good thing. Is a good thing.
My water. I've got my water.
Okay. I got my not water, but it's liquid.
It's water and it's holy.
It's holy. There it is. Holy water. God waved his hand over it. It's that kind of water. It's wavy water. So, first off, before we get started, how can the people connect with you? You are literally, like, in my opinion, you are treading unfamiliar territory, for a lot of us singers. You are really doing it as far as the vloggers are concerned. You are having major names on your show. your interview. I mean, your interviews are, in my opinion, they're slated to be epic. I think once the right person sees it, it's a matter of time because you're talking to people that we as singers will really want to talk to. And
Yeah.
so, how can the people connect with you and maybe see some of your content before we dig into the things of the things?
Hopefully they see it on the line at the DW Experience. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all social media. And if they can't find me on the DW Experience, I am Daryl Walter with one R, DARLWALTER. So yeah, and then tomorrow, I'm on every Monday at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, I am interviewing a wonderful singer and artist, Ali Starr. So,
Yes.
looking forward to that. And Walt, like for me, coming up in this industry, and I know a lot of people are interviewing people, but you've seen some of my shows, to have TJ Scruggs and other artists,
Right,
and to be able to talk to them about things we don't as far as artists in the industry. So yeah, it's just fun. So tap in.
Right. Yes, it was definitely interesting. I was around Tony Scruggs before she was, TJ.
Right.
But to see what God has done in her life and the amazing gift that she is to the world, and then to see that she has not lost that humility, in my opinion, was just absolutely amazing. Now,
yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, because yes, I got my shovel out. We getting ready to dig into all the things of the things. Now, how old are you, Daryl, and are you single?
That's how we start now.
Oh yeah, I'm messy. Oh, you already know.
Okay.
Welcome to the messy.
Okay.
no.
Well, no, I don't think you're messy, but I do think I'm 40. I'll be 40.
Okay.
I'll be 41 this year, and I am single and very happy.
Okay. All right. I like that. Single and happy and 40. So I want all you viewers to know, hallelujah. No,
you can tell all the viewers. Go ahead.
You might have a shot. You might have a shot if you play your cards right. All right.
I will say probably not.
Probably.
Let me say this. Let me and I've been talking with my friends about this, and we can talk about it. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy single. I'm very happy. And you'll probably ask me questions about this, but at 40. And where I am, place where I'm actually finding myself. And there I used to be ashamed about it, but I can be honest, there are times because I felt like, well, I'm 40 and I should have this and I should have attained this level of success and have this. And I used to be ashamed about it. But really for me at 40, this is the place where I'm really finding out who Daryl is as a person.
Okay.
My opinions, what I have to share. I really enjoy my company. If you follow me on Snapchat or Facebook or TikTok, I'm on TikTok now.
Yes, you're hilarious.
My friend, my friend, she was like, "You really have fun at home by yourself?" And I said, as a matter of fact, yes, I do. I really enjoy my company. I've been blessed.
Woo.
So
we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that because All right,
you're getting an exclusive.
Okay, so we know Daryl the singer, okay, and you've done some amazing and major things in your life, but I want you to take us back to childhood. What did childhood look like for Daryl Walters? Where were you? Just maybe include where were you from, and what was the atmosphere like?
So I think people know, but a lot of people don't know. I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And then between the ages of zero to eight, I was born in Canada. We moved to California. We moved back to Canada. Then we moved to California. Hopefully, okay. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. So I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I moved to Downey, California.
Mm-hmm.
I moved back to Canada to Toronto, and then we moved to Linwood, California,
Mm-hmm.
and then we ended up by the age of 8 in Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Okay. And that's where you stayed until adulthood, or?
I went to Bear Gulch Elementary School, Cucamonga Middle School, and Rancho Cucamonga High School. And then from there, I went to Cal State. Well, no, let me tell you, I went to Cal State Northridge. I lived in Long Beach when I was in my record deal. I've lived in Inglewood. I've lived in LA, Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah, Northridge, the Valley.
Okay.
Just all over. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so we know that you, and I don't want to spend too much time here, but I know
Go
that
ahead.
you were raised in the church, correct?
I was and I wasn't. So
Oh, okay. You got to explain this because I feel like I was and I wasn't too.
yeah.
But yeah.
So growing up, like I said, I
Mhm.
was born in Canada. I'm still Canadian for those people who don't know, and I'm here legally. That's a whole, a lot of people assume just because you're not an American citizen that you're not here legally, but I'm
Mhm.
here legally. So I was born in Canada, moved to the States. By the time we got to Rancho, I was taking vocal lessons because I wanted to sing. So
Mhm.
singing and music proceed. My mom actually found the final church that I grew up in originally through the Yellow Pages. So I grew up Methodist at the beginning. And so when we came to California, my mom was trying to find a church, and she, for whatever reason, my mom would look for churches through the Yellow Pages. That tells you my age. At the time, there were Yellow Pages. There wasn't a Google or anything
Right.
like
Right.
that, right? And long story short, through a couple of one church we went to, they didn't believe in clapping in hands.
Okay. That's not gonna work.
um,
Right.
well, especially, my mom, she chose the church based off of me. Like, was I happy? Were there kids there?
Okay.
Etc. And then
Mhm.
we went to one church. Shout out to Love Sanctuary. I went to Love Sanctuary for a minute in Montclair, California. At the
Mhm.
time, I know some of the kids there, some of the former pastor. I think he passed away, but I went to Love
Yeah, Malone.
Sanctuary. But Elder Malone,
Mhm.
and shout out to Jessica and all the Malone sisters. That's where I first was introduced to the Black church. And
Okay.
I was an usher at Love Sanctuary.
Mhm.
And then my mom ended up leaving the church for a lot of different reasons. And we found the church that I grew up in, which was at the time called New Gethsemane Church of God in Christ.
Okay. All right. New
Yeah.
Gethsemane. What is that?
Dr. Watts, Elder Raymond E.
Okay.
Watts, Elder
There
Raymond
it
E.
is.
Watts, and I believe they are New Direction now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was New Gethsemane Church of God in Christ in Pomona, California,
Mhm.
off of Monterey and Gary, somewhere in Pomona.
Okay. Okay. Now, you okay, so you mentioned that you wanted to sing. When did you realize
Can I
that you
tell you
had
I'm nervous? I'm a little nervous, by the way. I'll be okay.
yeah, you're gonna be fine. Um, you're gonna be fine, trust me. Um, so you started singing. When did you realize that you were gifted, not just to sing? So you weren't just a tenor in well, you can be a tenor in the choir, but you were more than just the tenor, but God had really smiled on you with the gift to shift atmospheres. And when I say this, I want you to understand, I understand that shifting an atmosphere does not only happen in church.
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere shifting is when you can put on a song. Missy Elliott is an atmosphere shifter. India Irie, and the list goes on and on. I don't want to get into name calling, but anyone who can sing and use their voice to lift someone's spirits, you can shift an atmosphere, right? When did you realize that you had that gift and that you were more than just a pew singer or a radio singer, or a sing along?
So so that's my point with talking about singing coming before a church.
Uh-huh.
Because from the time that I could speak, or from the
Okay.
time that I remember, I always gravitated towards music. So I remember in Canada, my mom used to have these vinyl albums, of Phyllis Hyman, Kool and the Gang, Jermaine
Mm.
Stewart, all these different vinyl albums. And I literally remember as a kid crawling up. I'm not kidding you. I would crawl up to the speaker and I would just sit and listen to these sounds. And then
Mm-hmm.
when Whitney Houston came into the scene, it was just like, I just couldn't, I was so in awe of it. So when we
Right.
finally made it to the States, I was taking vocal lessons before I got introduced to the church.
Okay.
So I was taking vocal lessons, and as a matter of fact, my one of my first vocal teachers, her name was Luann Hunt.
Okay.
I remember going to her vocal lessons, and I recorded a single. I recorded a single.
Okay.
So imagine at about 10 years old, and I remember the song. Well, I remember the first verse. This is me 10 years old, okay?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Baby, I see something in your eyes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's a sadness that I cannot hide. I'm holding out for you. You're holding out for me. That was me at 10 years old
I
singing
would
that
have
song.
whooped your behind if I was your. I'd be like, "What you holding out, huh? What you hold this belt?" That's what I would have did. No, no.
But that's the thing. It's like in church, my mom never denied me music. Like she
Right.
never denied my artistic side. It
Right.
really wasn't until I got to New Gethsemane and got to church
Mm-hmm.
where, and I'll tell you the story. I joined the choir. I was probably about 12 years old, and we had went on a youth choir trip. We went to Oakland, and we went to pastor's church, Ernestine Reeves, which
Okay.
a lot of the older people or Kojic people would know.
Mm-hmm.
On the bus trip, I was so into music, and I love hip hop. I loved hip hop, and so I took on. And at the time, you could buy singles on cassettes. You could buy a single
Mm-hmm.
for $1 at Music City or whatever it was called. So I bought the single, and the single that I bought was MC Brains.
Okay. I like where this story is headed. Okay, go ahead.
And I don't know if anybody remembers MC Brains, but for whatever reason, he was one of my favorite rappers. My mom never gave me a hard time about what I listened to. Like,
Okay.
I don't know why, but I didn't realize that everybody else's parents did not allow them to listen to music. So we're going on this bus trip. So I packed all my music. So it was like MC Brains, Salt and Pepper, just all kind of just hip hop, Moni Love, like any hip hop artist that I love, Father MC, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On a church trip to go minister.
Right, right.
Didn't even register. So I'm listening to Oochie Coochie
I
La
don't
La
even
La
like you.
Coochie. Oochie Coochie La. That was my favorite song at the time.
You're fired.
And shout out to Sister Ardelia Rome. She's probably not watching this, but she is the mother of Terrence Rome, the bishop in the Church of God in Christ, and
Okay.
she's the mother of David Rome, pastor of Tabernacle of Praise.
Yeah.
But this was pre all of that, and she looked at me and she was like, "What are you listening to?" And I was like, "MC Brains." Like, I didn't think about it. She took my tape and she threw it away.
Oh no.
No secular music.
Of course. Of course.
And my whole life was changed. But yeah, music came before church. So I was in song and dance. Yeah, just music was. I loved to sing and perform. That was who I was.
So that was funny. Okay, so that's one time where music got you in trouble. Okay, so fast forward a little bit. You are in your teens, maybe in high school. You're singing. Maybe tell us a little bit about some of the time, because see, the people that I've interviewed this month let me know that they realized that there was a target on their back, that the forces of darkness, and I say that because this is not a Christian show. Some people believe in the devil, some don't. But you realize that the forces of darkness had a target on you because you have the ability to bring love and light to people through your music. At what point did you realize that there was a force trying to stop you from doing this, or that in order for you to do this you were going to have to be a fighter?
That wasn't until I got my record deal.
Okay.
Everything before that, honestly, and when I look back at Daryl as a younger man, as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
well, no, let me take that back. Let me take that back. A lot of people were nice to me looking back on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't realize that there were ulterior motives.
Okay. Maybe
I will
talk
say
about
I
that.
was yeah, I will say it that way. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I always knew I wanted to sing and I wanted to do music.
Right.
And on some level, I've been blessed. When at the time I wasn't appreciative, but when I look back on it, I think I was 14 when I
Mm-hmm.
was featured on Tim Brown's album, Tim Bishop
Okay.
Brown and the Miracle Mass Choir.
Uh-huh.
That was probably my first, you know, feature, as an artist looking back on it. I remember in high school auditioning for Kurt Franklin's pilot show. It didn't come to fruition, but I remember getting a call back for that and auditioning with Erica and Tina Campbell before they were, in a lot of artists
Okay.
um, who were before they were, and really um, going forth, and a lot of my friends who are in the industry, I won't name their names, but they were very mean to me um, back in the day. And for me, it was, wow. For me, it was a lot of not fitting the role.
Okay.
So I was a great singer.
Mm-hmm.
I was an amazing artist. Um, but I remember artists who we've seen on Sunday Best that I grew up with and telling me I wasn't manly enough.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Now that was the corner I wasn't gonna turn because we talked off camera.
No,
Okay.
no, because it's the truth, and I don't want to
Okay.
put anybody on blast, but it happened, it happened. So let's talk about it.
Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. So, and so I want to, before we even dig into this, mothers, if you know a mother that has a son who maybe is sensitive or might not fit the mold, I want you to get them in here for this conversation. This is going to be powerful. You need to hear this. We can't have this conversation enough. Okay, so you said you didn't fit the mold. You were and still are an amazing singer,
Thank
but they
you.
would tell you that you weren't manly enough. They would tell you that you weren't, I guess, masculine enough for whatever reason. Now, outside,
For a lot of reasons. For a
okay.
lot of reasons.
Well, before I go ask my next questions, what are some of those reasons, or what do you perceive some of those reasons were?
Um, Again, my mother was from the Caribbean, from Antigua. I'm half
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my Caribbean family, I remember before moving to the States,
Mm-hmm.
holding your hand like this was just, you were holding your hand like this. It
Right.
wasn't definitive of your sexuality.
Right.
Um,
Right.
it was when I came to the States that if you hold your hand like this, that is a sign,
Right,
and
right.
it's not good, right?
Okay.
I remember. I'm not going to name names, but I remember a gentleman who was in Sunday's Best that I grew up with at church at New Gethsemane, and those of you know will put two and two together. And he probably doesn't remember it, but I remember him pulling me to the side at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he basically told me that everybody is talking about me and I needed to change. And it was probably one of the most hurtful things, which is why I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think it was his intention to hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was hurtful at the time because I didn't have, I didn't know what to do.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
all I knew was to be me and
Right,
to
right.
sing. You know, I never, um, and again, my father, God rest his soul, he passed away in 2019. Um, my father wasn't in my life. I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
and to go a step further, the men that I was around in the church were piss poor examples of men when I look back
Okay.
on it. You know, no indictment on them as human beings, but they were not good examples of manhood.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, well, I so when you said that, it was a hard thing for you to receive because all you knew was how to be you. It speaks to, because a lot of times people think when someone may have feminine mannerisms that they're choosing to do it, or that you're acting like that way on purpose. And a lot of times you're just doing what is, I guess, natural to you, or what.
Well, Walter, I would go a step back and
Okay.
really and have a conversation about what is masculine and what is feminine.
Okay, well, let's do that then. We can go there. Well, Daryl, what is masculine and what is feminine, or how would you define those terms?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't because at 40,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are a lot of masculine traits that are unhealthy and have done a disservice to, in particular, black men. There's a lot of black men who are suffering because they feel they have to live up to a level of manhood that they will never achieve. And
Okay.
some of it has been unhealthy. You know,
Okay.
when I look back at my experience growing up in the black church, in
Mm-hmm.
in particular the Church of God in Christ, um, I have witnessed abuse. I
Okay.
have witnessed emotional abuse, verbal abuse,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a little bit of physical abuse.
Okay.
And for some of these men to get up and say this is the definition of a man when they can't even keep a marriage, when they can't
Uh-oh.
handle their children, when
Mm-hmm.
they can't even represent the ministerial license that they went through a Cracker Jack box to achieve.
Uh-oh.
Um, and it's not a but it's really the truth. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we're living in a world in 2020 and 2021 where a lot of stuff has been uncovered in regards to abuse, in regards to molestation,
Right.
in regards to men abusing men.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these men that are being accused are men that we have looked up to.
Right.
Perfect example, John Gray. You know,
Okay.
one wonderful preacher,
Mm-hmm.
but a piss poor example of a man, in my
Okay.
opinion.
All right.
Cheated on his wife several times. You
Right.
know,
And has
his
every excuse
apology,
in the book. Right.
every excuse in the book, but not only that, but it's like, hey, if I buy you a car, then everything should be forgiven. And we're
Mm-hmm.
so much more than material things.
I agree.
You
I
know.
agree.
So go ahead.
So you're walking around with the weight of now, thinking everyone um, views you as this feminine man or feminine boy. You feeling like you're
I
not
wouldn't even say feminine. I would say
uh-huh,
different.
different.
You know,
Okay.
and when I say different, you have to remember I'm Canadian.
Right. Right. Okay.
You know, I'm half Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
My mother spent a majority of her life in London, England.
Mm-hmm.
So I was raised proper,
Okay.
right? So I was raised to say please and thank you.
Yeah.
I was raised in a household where we had to ask to be excused from the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go a step further, and my cousin, he's not listening, but I had a cousin and some cousins that live with me. We had to answer the phone, "Hello, may I help you?"
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me.
Right. Right. Right.
You don't say fart, you say pass the wind.
Okay.
Like, and it sounds funny, but it's
Uh-huh.
like my mom was very big on proper.
Etiquette. Right.
You can't just call an adult by their first name.
Oh, yeah. I remember those days.
And it didn't even matter if you were related. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't call them by your first name, then that's your auntie, Mr. or Mrs. or uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're excellent manners, but at the time, thank you, Margaret, for saying that. But at the time growing up, excellent manners were viewed as effeminate.
Right. Especially when you are around like hood, if you are around any sort of type of hood or people who grew up in that environment, they view that as soft or like you said, effeminate. So
And can I just add into that also?
mm-hmm.
Let me just put this so, and you can work with this how you want to.
Okay.
My father, God rest his soul, Vietnam vet, was a crackhead.
Oh,
My
okay.
daddy's side, they like 1800 tequila.
Okay.
Um, I grew up watching my cousins sell crack to the neighborhood crackhead.
Okay.
So there were, when I would go visit my father, there were things that I saw that I probably should not have seen. And um, just growing up between both families, there are things that I saw that I
Mm-hmm.
probably should not have seen. And then add that on top of growing up in the church, there
Mm-hmm.
are things in the church of God in Christ
Mm-hmm.
that I probably should not have seen as a child.
Okay.
And a lot of adults will deny it because that's the best thing to do is to deny it.
Right.
But I saw it as a child.
Mm-hmm. So you're walking around with this pain, this weight, okay? Your father was a drug addict or a drug user. Um, Alcohol seems to have been around you as well. Um, by the way, I want you to know I'm not naming anything that existed in your family that didn't also exist in mine.
No, but
Uh,
it's okay also. Like
hmm
I think with this conversation and with this interview,
hmm
I want people to know that there is a happy ending.
Great, because I was
That,
getting ready. We're
I'm
gonna
I'm here.
okay, so we're gonna go, a little further. Um, so these things had major impacts on you. You were viewed as different. Okay, did you
Mhm.
ever feel bullied because you were different? Bullied, ostracized, maybe.
I was bullied.
Okay,
I was
maybe give
bullied.
us maybe give us an example of how this looked like in life, just in general.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and those of you, if you're not friends with me, you are more than welcome to add me on Facebook under Daryl Walter. But I had posted a picture. I had posted my sixth grade picture and my seventh grade picture.
Mm-hmm.
And my sixth grade picture, that was probably the last day of my happiness. I was so happy. I was just happy. I've always been a happy person.
Right.
Like at the end of it, despite of everything that I've been through, I'm a positive, happy person. Like, my friend could come to me and be like, well, he slapped me 10 times and then spit on me. And I'm like, but you're still alive though.
Right. Right.
Like I'm going to find the positivity out of it. Seventh grade year in junior high, Cucamonga Middle School. I looked at my seventh grade picture and I smiled because I had to. but
Mm-hmm.
you could see it in my eyes how unhappy I was, and it probably got 100 likes and people commented on it. I remember going to junior high. I didn't fit in with the black kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because my mom's this English woman who's like, I don't care who you are, you still say please and thank you.
Right, right.
I don't care what church you went. I don't care how many solos you've led. You still say Mr. Walker and Mrs. Walker, and she didn't even talk like that. There was an English accent I won't mimic right now. So I had a kid, God rest his soul because he passed away later. I went to junior high and there wasn't a day that he wasn't waiting on me at the gate to make fun of me.
Really?
Every single day.
Wow.
He would be at the gate to make fun of me. And he had a nickname for me.
What was that? If you don't mind sharing.
You're getting it. Well, it was Gay Gay.
Oh, Gay Gay.
Gay Gay.
Okay.
It was I've never shared the nickname publicly. I will say that. Because even at 40, it hurt my soul.
It still stings, right?
It stung a lot because I was just a happy kid. I just, growing up in church, growing up in life, growing up as Daryl, I will say this: I was always ostracized for me being me. I remember as a kid in Canada, I used to get in trouble because I would be so nice and talk to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have an older brother. We're estranged right now, but in Winnipeg, Manitoba, I used to get in trouble because my brother be like, "Mom, Daryl's talking to strangers. Daryl's saying hi to everybody." This, and you got to imagine in the early '80s in Winnipeg, Manitoba, as a black kid, you just don't say hi to everybody. Right. But at Cucamonga Middle School, every day, I'm gonna just tell it. I'm just tell the story. His name was Irvin Landrum. He passed away due to police violence years later.
Oh wow.
But he would be like, "Hey, gay, gay. Hey, gay, gay." I would cry. I would cry every single, and every day he would be there waiting for me, and it got so bad. I got so bad. I remember one day, because I didn't hang out with anybody. I was like a weirdo. I didn't fit in with the black kids. I didn't fit in with the white kids. I didn't fit in with everybody. And then every day, Irvin Landrum will wait for me at the gate to greet me with the "Hey, gay, gay." I hated it. And I was standing around at lunch, and there was this Asian kid, and I was standing on the planter in junior high at Cucamonga Middle School. And he was running towards me. And I remember standing there, and I was like, well, he's not running towards me, not like that. And he kept running towards me. And now here goes Canadian dumb Daryl. I'm like, well, he's gonna stop at some point. Like, who would run towards somebody full throttle? He ran towards me full throttle. I'm standing on a planter. And he basically did a football attack on me, and I went flying into the brick wall.
Oh.
He hit me so hard, I flew off the planter, and I hit the brick wall. And I fell on the floor. And that's when my mom picked me up, and all I remember is she wouldn't let me go to sleep for 48 hours because I could have had a concussion.
Wow.
But that's how mean the kids were towards me in junior high school.
This is wow. This is heavy. I talk to parents whose children are often bullied and they don't know what to do. Now I was bullied, and I can give them from my perspective, but see, the difference for me was I had an older sister and older brother. And my older sister don't take shit from nobody now, like about me. Like if you say something about me now, and I'm grown, I'm almost 40. You say something about me now, here she'll probably beat you up before I even get to say anything. You know.
But can I say this, Walt?
Uh huh.
And can I interject here?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think when we talk about bullying, we don't
Mm-hmm.
really talk about the mental effect it has on people. You know,
Yes.
because and again, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can go back to that post, and I had over 80 something likes and a lot of comments, and a lot of comments that I received was I went through the same thing, and some of those comments was, well, I had a bigger brother, or I
Mm-hmm.
fought them, or I beat them up.
That's
But
not. Yeah. Yeah.
what I process is, what was the mental effect it had on you in life?
Okay.
How did it affect you? How did it affect you, and how you navigated life after that? I didn't have protectors per se. It was just me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
the fact that I can, as I talk about this story, I can picture him standing at the gate. I
Wow.
can picture the school. I'm photographic memory. But
Mm-hmm.
when I told you about that boy hitting me on the planter and knocking me into the wall, I could tell you what the air felt like. I
Mm.
could tell you what the weather was like. I remember his name. His name was Irvin Landrum. I don't know why I remembered his name. And to see years later that he was tragically killed, my heart goes out to him and his
Right.
family.
Right.
And some people would say, well, did you feel vindication? Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
I can't imagine what a mother feels like losing her child, whether he was a jerk or a great person. That is
Right.
not for me to decide. But
Right.
I think, just to add to it, it's like, that's great you had a sister who didn't take no shit. But
Right.
how did
Right.
you process the bullying?
So
Mhm.
I was going to get I was going to get to the question I was going to ask is, because now we are adults looking back. What is maybe one or two things that you wish, and this is not to say your mother was negligent or that she was dismissive of what you went through, but maybe what is one or two things that you wish your mother would have done back then, maybe just to help the situation or to maybe be a better comfort to you while you're going through this? Because some parents know their children are being bullied and they don't know what to do beyond taking, the legal course of action. They don't know what to do to actually help, as you just mentioned, the mental well-being of their child. What is maybe one or two things that you wish or that would have helped you in those moments from your mother?
Let's talk about when I finally moved to the States in 1988, and we moved to
Hmm.
Linwood, California. Because the whole reason we left Linwood is because I got bullied.
Okay.
Um, my mom worked at St. Francis Medical Center. Shout out to St. Francis if anybody's familiar with Linwood. Um, and I saw a lot of stuff again that I shouldn't have seen.
Okay.
I had a friend who was abused by the gang members at the time. I remember that. I remember I loved roller skating, and I remember getting into a fight with my neighbor because he just didn't like me.
Okay.
That was really it. And at the time, if anybody remembers, and even 80s and 90s, it was like the only way to induct you was to beat you up.
Hmm.
Especially for men, for boys, for guys. There was just a whole era of jumping you into gangs,
Right.
jumping you into stuff. And I was just like, my whole attitude even today is like, um, if we don't have to fight, there's no reason for us to fight.
I agree with that. Right.
I don't like to fight. I'm an Aries. I get upset, but um, I've never wanted to just like, whoop somebody on GP. But at the period, at that
Hmm.
particular time, you just got beat up and jumped in just because you were a black man. That was just the way of the world. What would I say to people now?
Yeah. What would you say to a mother who knows her child is being bullied? What is maybe one thing that you wish your mother might have done differently back then, or she might have actually did back then, that would have helped you during that moment?
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this in the most respectful way.
Mm-hmm.
When you know better, when you know better, you do better.
Okay.
And I think my mom did the best that she could at the time
Mm-hmm.
with the tools that she had.
Right.
So there was nothing she could have said or done. And listen, my mom was a registered nurse and Caribbean. I mean, and a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom went hard for me, but I think at the same time, she went to the mom's apartment. And I'll tell you for the short story version of it. When my mom went to the boy's mom's apartment, the mom was like, "Well, you want to fight too?" The mom took, listen, Linwood. Shout out to Southern California. Shout out to the people who live by Bobo's Burger. If you know where Bobo's Burger is in Linwood, the white apartments on the other side, those tracking apartments, they probably still there right now. You know what I'm talking about. The mom was not, she was ready to fight. Mom, literally, I'll tell you this. My mom was fighting the mom. My cousin was fighting the cousin, and I was fighting the boy. It was a parking lot fight. What would I say to parents now today? Talk to your children. It's not about you. It's not about you. Right. And life changes. The atmosphere. We're 2021. You can't just go, well, when I was 10. No, world that these 2021s, the world that these young people live in is so different. So I think it's a case by case scenario. But if with this interview, Walter, and I was talking to my mentor earlier, I said, I'm not here to just share salaciousness or drama just to share it. But I hope that people take what I've been through. I hope people take my story and go, okay, this helps me in some way. Like, I hope to inspire, uplift, and encourage.
So you have, and this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure you've been through much more than you are capable of sharing in this short time, but you have all of this that you went through, right? And you get to the place of your record deal. Okay. Maybe tell us a little bit about how this record deal comes along, and maybe give us, a few pointers or some things that maybe happened, some landmarks about what was going on in your life around that time.
So I will say that the gifts comes without repentance.
Okay.
And when I was talking to my friend about it, a lot of times we look at that scripture and we say, like, we're like, you got your gift, and no matter what you do, you got your gift. But on the artist end of it, you're going to go through ups and downs. Let me say that for whoever's listening, whoever's felt like, okay, let me tap into it. Whoever's felt like giving up. And as a matter of fact, there are those of you out there who feel like giving up. You feel like you've reached your end. You feel like, I can't do more. I'm old. I'm young. Don't nobody want me. The gift comes without repentance. And what do I mean by repentance? As you can go through that whole woe is me, woe is me, woe is me, but your gift will still exist.
Yes.
And so what I've learned looking back at my life, regardless of where I am, my gift is still my gift. I can still sing right now.
Yes, you can.
I'm still a person that, there are people who are going to listen to this interview. Not my fault, but it is the gift. People are attracted to you because of your gift. And let me
Mhm.
park right there. A lot of artists, a lot of people who are creative need to understand that people are attracted to you not because of who you are, but because of your gift.
Period.
The anointing is attractive, and the
Okay.
anointing comes through your gift.
Mhm. Okay.
If you're a singer, if you're a dancer, if you're a speaker, if you're a preacher, whatever your gift is, you have to guard that because people are going to be attracted to the gift and not you.
Okay.
And you won't know how to differentiate it. Mm.
Okay. All right. So you get your record deal. Um, obviously because you're an amazing singer.
So I get my record deal. I go to Cal
Okay.
State Northridge, right? Let me tell
Mhm.
you. So I go to Cal State Northridge. So I've been singing in high school.
Mhm.
I'm Tim Bishop Brown, growing up in choirs. In addition to the choirs and the gospel aspect, I'm also classically trained. So
Okay.
I go to Rancho High School, so I'm in every choir, all of those. Oh, carai dolce do, all of that stuff. I'm doing all of
Yeah.
that.
Call that don't you know?
I learned the classical stuff also. When I get to Cal State Northridge at the particular time, they start hiring me to sing at the graduations.
Okay.
It was a blessing, but it's like, oh, okay, we want you to sing at Black graduation. How much do you charge? It wasn't even like, we want you to sing at the Black graduation. It was like, we want you to sing at the Black graduation. Send us your invoice.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I'm singing at the Black graduation. I'm singing at these events. Everything's coming along. And I will even say I was singing background for, now he doesn't like me, or I won't say he doesn't like me, but he won't acknowledge me. But Michael Speaks, if you look at Michael Speaks, on his gospel album, Michael Speaks used to, he came out around the time of Adina Howard. I'm aging myself,
Oh,
but
yes, you are.
but he came out around the time of Adina. Anyways, Michael Speaks went gospel, and he came up with the gospel album. And I will say, I am all over that gospel album, along with
Okay.
some of my other people. Yes, I am. And he underpaid us.
Oh,
That's neither here nor there. But anybody who's been in the industry knows that you will be underpaid at some point or
yes,
another,
you will.
or done
Uh-huh.
wrong. Um, and so I was singing around Cal State Northridge and around the Valley, and I was singing at the Black graduation, and I was scouted by like a family member of a friend who was a songwriter, and I ended up in this group called Ecstasy. We named it Ecstasy. My nickname was Choir Boy. And one of the members, a lot of you may know, you may have seen him on my show in one of the interviews, Black Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
That's how
Black.
that's how I first met Black Thompson. Black and I lived together in Long Beach during this record deal in time, and our executive producer, our founder, was Big West. A lot of people don't know, like, Black and I go way, way back before um, people in this industry knew who Black was, and people in this industry knew who I was. And he's my brother forever. If
Right.
anybody out there has ever been in a guy group or a girl group, it takes a lot. You're around each other all the time. So
Mhm.
Black and I lived together in Long Beach, and we were pursuing a record deal, and we got signed.
Okay. All right. I know it. I didn't know Black was in the group. Like I already know.
Black was the lead singer of the group.
Okay. Well, I know. Ooh. Okay. So. Ooh. So wait, were all the other singers as gifted as you and Black?
That's relative, and I won't go
Oh,
there.
okay. So I'll leave that alone. But I'm just saying, like, if y'all messed around and had four that are on that caliber, I don't know why y'all didn't. But, ooh, that had to be, yeah.
No, well, it was a good group, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: I learned about the industry.
Got it.
I learned about the industry, and I've been blessed. When I read the record, knowing when I read the actual deal, which was like 50 pages long,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't a fan of me because they nicknamed me Choir Boy, but also I was kind of like the daddy of the group. And
Okay.
when I say the daddy of the group, we had got the record deal
Mm-hmm.
or the production deal. Let me say it specifically. We got this production deal, and I'm like, this is a great production deal. And then Black, he was like, yeah, I got a cousin that knows how to read contracts. And I was like, that's good. That's great. We're going to go to a lawyer and use some of our money to pay this lawyer. I made the group go to a lawyer.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
when the lawyer broke it down to us, it's like, oh, it's a good deal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a great deal.
Right. 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 You would have
And
followed. Would you have followed behind a lot of the, I guess, traditional stories of being maybe like TLC or
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. I will say this. Let me say this twofold. The world that we live in right now with independent artists and the internet is a
Mm-hmm.
blessing. You
Right.
know, when we look at the older artists, when we look at people who have been in the industry 15 years or more, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about people who have been in contracts where most record deals include what they call what do they call them? Options. They
Mm-hmm.
call them options, right? So you look at a Tony Braxton, you look at a lot of our older artists. They are basically in deals with record companies where they have loans, where the record company says, okay, well for each album we're going to give you 30,000. That's low. That's low balling, but we're going to give you 100,000 to produce this album, to hire the producers, to put on the stage, to do the videos and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we want that money back.
Right. Right.
So that was a turnoff for me because it's like, oh, this is a great record deal. Oh, 100 grand. Oh, we gonna get 100 grand. Well, first off, it's 100 grand between four people. So
Right.
that's 25K right there.
Right.
Okay. And then you get a production budget. Well, that production budget is great, but once you do that production budget and produce your albums, you understand that the production budget is on the front end and the back end. So yeah, they get the front end money, but also they're entitled to that back end money when the money starts recouping. When
Mm-hmm.
you as the artist, you still owe everybody because you are the foundation of what's all this money is coming out of.
Right.
So everybody else gets their money first before you even see a dime. And when I
Okay.
put all of that stuff together, Walter, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
I was
Right.
like, you want me to sell my soul?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to sell this image?
No. Right. Now, you went through a lot right here. Now, earlier you mentioned that your father dealt with drugs, and you don't have to get too deep into this, but you've mentioned this on my show before. But you too had a bout with drug addiction.
Yes, I did.
Maybe take us through that, and then we're going to get to your triumphs, because you definitely have some triumphs, some victories, and you are in an amazing place now. But it's that pain that I believe the pain fuels the passion and the joy that you are able to provide us with even to this day. But maybe take us through some of what you went through with your bout with drug addiction.
Wow. My experience now, when I was in the group Ecstasy and when I was
Mm-hmm.
in the R&B world, and when people knew me at Cal State Northridge, listen, Ordeal Your Own and throwing away my Father MC tape was the beginning of salvation for me. I was a good kid.
Okay.
I was a good kid. I got offered drugs in high school and I said no.
Okay.
Um, It was after the group. When I left that record deal, it was probably one of the lowest moments of my life because I am a perfectionist
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very hard on myself. So when I left that group, I felt like I had failed myself and I have failed everybody. Even even though I had worked hard for it on my own, um, there was a lot of people that I felt that I left down. And I hit a dark place, you know. I've suffered being bullied all through junior high, high school, and even some college. So with college,
Mm-hmm.
let me just put this out there because a lot of people don't know it, but I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second. I went to Cal State Northridge,
Mm-hmm.
and I reconstituted and started the Cal State Northridge Gospel Choir.
Okay.
If there's any existence of a gospel choir at Cal State Northridge right now, it's because of me.
All right.
And I say that because when I got to Cal State Northridge and I went to college, I was like, what college doesn't have a black gospel choir? you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we don't, Daryl. I'm like, okay, well, what does it take? So I did the charter, I reconstituted it. I did not know what I was doing, but I am the reason that Cal State Northridge has a choir again today.
Shout
I'm
out.
part of that reason. Shout out to Cal State Northridge.
Yeah.
And shout out to the professors and people that I was around. Shout out to Latari Martin for being my first soloist. Shout out to USC at the time for hosting. I was the reason Cal State Northridge had a gospel choir. That's how invested I was into music.
Mm-hmm.
But moving through that, what was the question again? Look, I lost my train of thought.
I was trying to get you to give us some insight to what was going on during your bout with drug addiction.
So drug addiction really came about after the after Ecstasy failed. Ecstasy
Mm-hmm.
was the R&B group that we were signed to Big West. And for those of you who don't know out there, you can go to the original Save the Last Dance soundtrack, and we are on that soundtrack. I've been blessed. When all of that failed, I felt like a failure. I really
Okay.
felt like a failure. And then, wow, Walter, you're asking me this question. Um,
If it's too much, we can move on.
no. I want to bless people, and
Okay.
this is the part of life. What led to it was just feeling I failed.
Okay.
I felt like um, with my sexuality, I felt
Hmm.
like with my music, I have failed. I felt like,
Mm-hmm.
on some level, up until my record deal and everything, I and it wasn't even my mom's fault. I think my mom was looking at me like, "Who are you?" But everything that I did was success.
Mm-hmm.
In church and in high school, that's how you met me. I had the step team, and we got
Yes. Yes.
and we went so hard on the step team. That was because of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I led songs in church, and it was me. You know what I'm saying? I did
Right.
so many great things, and it was because of me. So to face this failure, probably my first failure was like, wow. And it was a failure because this was my hopes and my dreams that had failed. And
Yes.
I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have a father, I didn't have a friend, I didn't have anybody to pick me up. Like when I left the group, I called Wes and I said, this is not for me. And when I called
Mm-hmm.
him, I said, this was not for me. It wasn't because of the group, it was because of the business. I
Okay.
really feel like I had an insight into what the business was. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would see people get excited over record deals and all this stuff, and I'd be like, well, that's just a loan. You gonna pay it back? You think you're gonna be successful to pay it back? Because my experience with the music industry, and I can say it to this day, I saw so many artists who were amazing but never made it to the limelight.
Right.
When I was in Ecstasy, now when I was in this group, we were recording out of the Edmonds building off in Hollywood. If anybody remembers Kenneth Edmonds, Babyface, his building off of Cahuenga. You know, I was recording with Brian McKnight and all these different studios. You know, so I would watch these artists that were amazing, talented,
right,
fall to the wayside. You know, I was around the industry when Pink was not even thought of as the artist that she was. I remember looking at her R&B album before it first came out and going like, oh, okay, that's Pink. Because I remember seeing now let's be clear, Pink was an R&B artist.
Right.
They were marketing her as this black white girl. She was gonna be this next big white black girl kind of
the answer to Christina Aguilera.
There you go, looking pitiful just because I let you go. There you go. She was this whole thing, and I remember looking at the album like, oh, okay, but look at Pink now,
right?
You know, but for every Pink, there were several white girls that fell to the wayside. For every B2K and all these other artists, I was literally like my world at that particular time. I was recording with artists upon artists upon artists upon artists that we will never know. We will never know they existed because that's what the industry looked like at the time.
Right. Right. And I just want you to know that I'm actually happy you were able to make it through all of that. I've also witnessed some of the same things. Now, my question, we've talked about the hard shit, you know, and you made it through, and sitting over there with that smile on your face, we're definitely happy that it still exists. Now,
yes.
My next question. Okay, so you find yourself addicted to drugs, and you've shared on this platform that, you know, you had a real dark time with drugs. At what point did you say, okay, it's time for me to change this, change the narrative of my life, change the story? And where did you find the strength to do so?
Desdemona is the name. Desdemona is my mother's full name.
Okay.
I was living in Inglewood. I'm gonna tie several stories together, but I had auditioned for Sunday's Best for the first time.
Okay.
Many moons ago. And at the beginning of Sunday's Best, you can hear my voice in their promotional material. I had a roommate who was sick also.
Okay.
I was living in Inglewood. Anybody who's lived in Inglewood, up to no good. Shout out to y'all. And Walter, I had a friend who basically said, yo, if you don't move out of here and get out of here now, your life will be no good.
Okay.
I had a roommate who was on drugs also. God rest his soul, he passed away. I was in a very, very dark place. I was about to lose my place. And I have to give a shout. I'm gonna say this, and I don't think he knows it, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Dante Morrison.
Okay.
Well, he knows that we talk privately, but I literally my mom was in Canada.
Wait. Hold on. You talking about Dante, the YouTuber Dante?
Yeah, Dante Morrison, the YouTuber Dante.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Had no idea. Love him. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know him, but I love his content. Yeah.
Dante is one Dante has one, and I tell him all the time. But Dante was one of the saviors in my life at the time.
Okay.
I was living in Inglewood. Everything was crashing down. This was at the end of my crack habit and my drug binge and everything. And I had a friend who basically told me, like, yo, if you don't change your life and move,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to die.
Mm.
And I had already had a dream about it.
Okay.
My mom had retired to Canada, and she said, well, I can't get there right away. And I had went on a retreat. I had went on a retreat, and a lot of people on the retreat at the time did not know, because my landlord was kind enough to let me out of the lease.
Okay.
And I had literally packed 2 bags and got on the bus and took the bus down Crenshaw to the place where the retreat was meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on this retreat. When I came back from the retreat, my mom made it to the States from Canada. I remember my cousin would not let me stay with her. I remember my dad's side, my dad's sister and family, they would not let me stay with them.
Mm.
I was living in a hotel that I was homeless.
Mm-hmm.
It was very rough, but it's what I needed. It was a rough patch.
Right. Right. And so you pull up Dante, your mom, your tribe came.
Well, Dante, I had met on the retreat.
Okay.
I had met Dante. I met Dante on this retreat that I went on.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell Dante knows this because I've told him this privately, but he literally was part of saving my life. And
Mm-hmm.
Dante was like a breath of fresh air.
Okay. I think this is amazing because in my opinion, you're describing your tribe that came through and pulled you through.
Pull me
And
through.
I wish more of us, Black and brown people, instead of throwing people to the wayside, if somebody gave you tough love and told you, hey, you need to get the hell on because this is not good for you. But then someone looked beyond the exterior and saw the need and reached beyond whatever they saw and said, you know what, you're my brother, I'm going to pull you through. We're going to pull you through to whatever, and then you are where you are now. Now, I had no idea. I'm going to tell you what I remember. I remember I saw you and when I met you in high school, and y'all stomped and cleared that whole stage. I ran into you again at a good friend of ours, Keisha Riley's funeral.
Yeah, wow. Okay,
When,
wow.
When you broke the stage, I forgot the song you sang, but you broke the stage. And then I saw you again on the internet. I had started my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Actually, no, we were friends for a while, just because we were just in the same area. I knew of you.
Yeah.
But then I connected with you because I saw you were getting into YouTube and blase. And I'm like, wow, we can really come up together. This doesn't have to be a competitive thing. We can come up together. This is somebody, we can be in each other's tribe and really just, help each other. And we connected. And then you find out all of the backstory. I think we interacted on a few posts because I run my mouth. You're private, but I run my mouth. So, I see.
And I encourage that though. I love that, and I encourage that. I love, Walter. I love everything that you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. We need this.
Yes. I feel I'm trying to create a safe space for anybody, any and everybody.
It's not just a safe space, it is just a space. I hope that, and not to cut you off,
Say
but
what you.
I hope that, just as people, that,
Hmm.
I love the Lord. I love church. I love the
Hmm.
Pentecostal church. But what I do know is that, and I'm not going to get emotional, but I look at my godchildren, I look at the younger people, and I
Hmm.
even look at myself with my relationship to my mother and my people. And I know that my mother, I know that she wished she could have been there more
Hmm.
and not been as influenced by the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, my mama don't regret being influenced by the church, child. My mama still will look me dead in the eyes and tell me I'm going to hell in a pickup truck with gasoline draws on.
And, and we're
We get
praying for
along,
her.
right?
We're praying for her.
We get along, and I love my mom. I don't want to come off like I don't, but it took some doing. Like I had to go through a homeless about with homelessness, bruh. Like I was never addicted to drugs, but we have a lot of the same testimonies. I
Yeah.
went through a whole bout with homelessness, and a lot of people think because I was a pastor, I hadn't gone through anything, but I realized that on some level, this is why I will never do away with the church, because on some level it helps.
I agree. I will never do away with the church. I will say, and I'm getting watery eyed because,
Hmm.
my mom, as much as I talk about the things that we went through, my
Hmm.
mom passed in 2014, and I have to
Oh,
say, she was my bestest friend.
okay.
When
Hmm.
we really got, when I think when she got to know me as a person,
Hmm.
there was because I think there was a period during my bullying. I don't think I cried to her every day from junior high. Like I remember the boy Irvin waited for me at the gate every time. I mean, it was to the point I told the adults and everything. And I think they
Hmm.
were a part of it because they didn't know any better. And this is the early 90s, but
Right,
they,
right,
they all made fun of me. But I think as my mom got to know me as the person that I am today, because who you're talking to is really Daryl. I love people.
right, right,
I care people. And yes, I will cry at the drop of a dime
hmm,
because I am a sensitive person. And
right,
I've learned as a man that um, as a man, just because you cry doesn't make you any less of a man.
right.
Those are the things. And I literally, before my mom passed, there were things that I taught her
Hmm.
as a friend, as a person. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like when my mom passed and my mom retired to Canada. So when I went to her funeral, everybody was like, "Oh, you're Daryl? Oh my gosh, are you Daryl? Your mom." I didn't even realize it. She was like, they were like, "Your mom just talks about you all the time. She talks about you all the time." Like it took my mom to really, there was just, she just liked me. Like there was a
Awesome.
period where it was just like, you know, I told my mom, I'm like, if I didn't know you on the street, if I never met you and I met you on the street, you will be my friend.
Awesome.
Everybody can't have that testimony.
And
But
this
go
is
ahead.
true. This is true. Um, you are in an amazing place now. Your show is blowing up. Like, I don't know whether you know it or not, but your show is blowing up. I can't wait till we get some music, but I do understand if that's not your focus right now. But
Oh, okay. No, so I do have some. I pulled some stuff. There's music coming out. There's
okay,
music coming. Yeah, definitely.
you can't let that go, bro. Like you got that all day. Um, and so I just to tie this all together, we've through this past hour and a half, we have talked through your childhood, your trauma, and your triumphs. Okay. Um, I mean, there's certain questions I didn't ask. You left the door open,
We
but
can do a part 2, and you can ask what you want now.
okay.
Go ahead and ask.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask one question, and you can answer this or not.
Okay.
Um, uh, okay. I heard you mention you felt like you failed in your sexuality.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, why did you feel like you failed in your sexuality, if that's something you choose to address?
I feel like I didn't live up to, as a man,
Uh-huh.
um, as a black man.
Right, right. Okay.
I think that, and I'm as a black man and as a man, I've had to redefine who I am as a black man.
Okay.
I think, and this is me talking as Daryl.
Right.
Um, there was a moment I was talking to my cousin, who's like my mother figure in my life, and I was sharing with her everything that I thought I should be as a black man, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that I thought I was failing as a black man.
Okay.
And she paused me. I'm an East Coast person. I'm straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is the definition of a man to you? I think as men, we never even take the time to even, or just as people, as a man or as a woman,
Right, right.
right? Because as a woman, if you don't cook, if you don't clean, if you're not sensitive,
Right.
if you don't cater to your man, then where is your womanhood?
Okay.
And here you are as a man, if you're not protective, if you're not, you know, who,
Right, right.
if you're not a certain way, then you're not a man.
Mm-hmm.
So with those definitions of what a man is, I thought I had failed myself as a man.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
If you're not fighting, if you're not standing up for your woman, if you're not standing up for your people, if you don't pay your bills on time, if you're not a protector or if you're not a nurturer, and then to
Mm-hmm.
go on top of that, any type of sensitivity.
Yes. Yes.
Walter, I really had to redefine myself as a man.
Me too. Yes. I love all of what you're saying. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 framed around that, because what I hear is we're gonna have to address toxic masculinity and fragile masculinity.
We just have to define, we're going to have to address masculinity, because
Agreed.
there are a lot of men who are living up to an idea of manhood and masculinity that does not
Mm-hmm.
exist, and they will never achieve.
Right.
There
Right.
are some men who are sensitive,
Period.
and that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make you less of a man. Those are the things that I had to go through, and those
Mm-hmm.
are the things that that I'm not going to say that I have to go through, but on the DW experience, I want you to experience DW for DW.
Period.
If
Point
I
blank.
cry on the show, I'm not less of a man.
Right. Right.
If and let's just go a step further. We see a lot of these men. Okay, see, I wasn't gonna go there, but I'm just gonna go there. T.I.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. T.I.
Mm-hmm.
T.I., in my opinion, is a piss poor example of a man. But a lot of
Okay.
a lot of people out there look up to him as a man. In my personal opinion, I could not imagine questioning my daughter on her gynecological visit and putting
Mm-hmm.
it public record. That's just me.
Agreed.
But also, there are some things that T.I. as a man that are celebrated that I think we should take into question.
Okay.
I think we should look at it a little bit differently.
We are definitely soon, and this ain't gonna be no 2 or 3 months. This gonna be soon. We're gonna have to have a part 2 Maybe I'm gonna have to put together a panel discussion so we can get different views in
I've
because
been wanting to put a panel together also because there's a lot of fathers who are
yes,
missing out on their children. They're not bad fathers. They're not.
sometimes children are used as a weapon in a war between lovers, and I think that's wrong.
That's the truth. And let me say this final part because I know I'm talking a lot, but
No, you good.
just because you have a higher voice does not make you less of a man.
Tell the truth. Tell the
My
truth.
voice is a higher pitch, and it has taken me, to this point. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's in their 30s going into their 40s, when you hit a certain benchmark, I'm a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good man.
Period. Mm-hmm.
I pride myself in being a respectful. I'm good in my space, and I don't feel like I have to know basketball or I gotta punch a woman in her face
Come
or I
on.
have to do something to prove myself to be a
Right.
man. And
Right.
I think, in my opinion, there are a lot of men. I literally just talked to my friend about this. Black men
Mm-hmm.
need counseling, we need therapy, and we need group sessions because
Yeah.
there are a lot of men who are beating their women, who are disrespectful to their children, and are
Yeah.
piss poor examples to their parents out of the guise of being a man. And we
Right.
need to have a conversation and change that.
Right.
I am a shit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to add because a lot of that is birthed from this whole "I'm not going to let nobody disrespect me" mentality. But a lot of times you have to realize that if someone disrespects you, there is a proper way to put them in their place. Physicality and being just blatant and malevolent should be the last. That should be the last resort, as a way to resolve something. But a lot of things that we use these for could have easily been solved had somebody just used some words.
Yes, and let me just say this twofold.
Mm-hmm.
Walter, I am so proud of you.
Oh,
I'm proud of you because you are traveling down a road less traveled,
mm-hmm.
and you're doing an amazing job at it.
Thank you.
Also, let me say this to my sisters and my Black women.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve that treatment from him.
Agreed.
My sisters of Black male children, you do not have to accept that behavior. But also at the same time, to go to the other side, accept your Black child or your Black man for who he is.
Agreed.
Do you see what I'm saying with that?
Yeah. In the past, I lucked up when I was 20. I forgot how old I was when I met my ex-wife. She actually was okay with me, but before her, there were people that didn't want to date me because they felt like I was too feminine, I was too soft. Because when I get mad, I'm not gonna cuss you out. I'm not gonna call you a bitch. I'm not gonna put my hands on you.
But don't you think we have to change that behavior?
We have to change that narrative. My ex-wife laughs now because the most reaction she got out of me was one time I was going to leave the house and she jumped in front of me and she said, "No, you're not going nowhere. You're gonna stay here." And she was giving me all kind of sass, right? And I moved her out of the way and I opened the door to leave and my daughter started crying. And I looked and I saw my daughter crying and I started crying harder than my daughter and almost hyperventilated. The reason why my ex-wife laughs is because she says at that moment I knew you, you didn't even have it in you to put your hands on me. she's like, "Oh, we're definitely going to be talking most of our arguments." And I'm not saying things don't get heated and it's not passionate, but in the past, women saw that as a soft or a feminine trait because I wasn't one to you know.
But
Now,
that speaks to the woman. That's the part that,
agreed.
like, where I'm getting at. It's just like, when are we going to change the narrative where women, get into their argument with their man? It's like, well, if he don't slap me, then it ain't
Right.
love.
That's funny.
If he don't
Right.
knock me in my head and slap the shit
Right.
out of me,
Right.
and not.
If his knee ain't halfway in my ass, yeah, like,
Yeah, well, girl, I argue with him, but he slapped the shit out of me, so we all good. Like that in itself, like the whole. There's so many conversations of unhealthiness, like even, and we have to do a part 2. But when I look
yes.
at my life with the Church of God in Christ, and I love the Church of God in Christ, but God bless Bishop Blake and God bless Judy McAllister, because I've had my interactions with her too. It wasn't healthy.
Me and her, I don't care
It
for her
wasn't
either.
healthy. It wasn't. I didn't say I didn't care for her. You said you didn't care for her, but I mean, I got your back.
Yeah.
But especially, but I will say this, especially for Black men, to have this conversation.
Right.
And Walter, thank you for having me on this. Thank you for the respect and love that you have shown me. And I know that there are people who are going to look at this on the replay. And I know there are people who are going to comment on this later on, or who may not comment on this. There's a lot of Black men who are struggling, whether it be sexuality, whether it be what is the definition of a man,
right?
Whether it be how do I show up as a man in my community?
Yes.
These are all of the things that I hope, as Daryl, as the DW experience, that, I hope that I can show up as the man that you can be sensitive and still be a man.
Right.
You can still be sensitive and still be the husband to your wife. But define who you are.
Agreed. This is
go ahead. No, cut me off.
Yeah. When you were talking just now, it reminded me of one of the principles of the Nguzu Saba, which is Kuji Chakalia, which is self-determination, to define yourself. It's
okay, what holiday is that?
That's during Kwanzaa.
Okay, during Kwanzaa. You have to tell the people, because you just
okay.
You spoke in tongue. We were like, you said Kuji Lagahara, Hirorobo Shata, and some of us was looking like, hold on, wait a minute.
Okay.
We wasn't ready for that. During Kwanzaa.
During Kwanzaa, there are 7 principles that are celebrated, which are referred to as the Nguzu Saba. It's from the Swahilian tongue. And one of the principles is Kuji Shakalia, which is self-determination. And one of the ways we determine ourselves is to define ourselves. And I love what you're saying. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to quit saying this after a while. Y'all just going to have to Google the shit. But I am a Christian, and I do love God, and that's, for real. But I've learned also to embrace my Blackness, just like the white people are allowed to embrace their European heritage. Yes. I'm allowed to embrace my African heritage. And so what I hear you saying is we have to learn how to define ourselves as men. And I love it. I love the way you're doing this, because even though we've talked about sexuality, you're not making sexuality a part of the definition of what it means to be a man. And I love it. I love it, because we are, one of the things America has done to the Black men is they've over-sexualized us.
Yeah.
And so when aside
we're
from sex,
people, we can't help. Listen, we can't help who we are. Okay.
Period.
As Black men, listen, sisters and brothers, listen, we can't help who we are. Okay. I can't help my smile. That's what somebody had to remind me a long time ago. It's like, yeah, I smile. I love to smile. That's not my fault. It's not my fault of who I am.
Right.
And let me just park right there and say this in the most loving way. If you're listening, As a matter of fact, Walt B, you might have to cut this and make this a spiel. But if you're
Okay.
listening to this,
Mm-hmm.
it is not your fault God created you the way you are.
Okay.
My aunt told me this many years ago. I have a brother that we're estranged, and we're estranged for many reasons. And she came to me and she said, Daryl, it's not your fault. And I said, well, what are you talking about? She said, it's not your fault. When you were born, you were a cute baby. Everybody loved you. You are who you are, and it's not your fault. So stop taking on your brother hating you because of you. And there's a lot of people out there. I feel this. I feel this. There's
This
a
is
lot of
needed.
people out there. You feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault. You were born with the gifts that you were born with. You were gifted with the talents that you were gifted with.
Mm.
And I don't mean to get teary eyed, but it's not your fault.
Right.
It's not your fault if they don't like you.
Mm.
It's not your fault if they don't understand you. But God created you the way that you are, and it's not your fault. The gifts come without repentance. Can we tie it all back together?
Sure. Yeah.
Because a lot of people go into the world thinking, well, maybe if I dumb it down, maybe if I just don't talk too much, maybe if I just, don't be as masculine or don't be as feminine or whatever. But God created you. God created you. Like, that is a lesson. I will tell you, my biggest lesson. I love my Aunt Phyllis. We go back and forth. But the biggest lesson that I got in life was that it's not my fault. It's not my fault I love to smile.
Mm.
It's not my fault I have a positive energy. It's not my fault I've been gifted to be able to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will call it you're a hater. Some people will call it like, oh, you trying to be better than me. But I'm just trying to tell somebody out there who will hear it, it's not your fault that the Lord created you the way that you are. That's not your fault. And walk in that, embrace it. Walter, I talk to you offline all the time and
Yeah.
encourage you. You're an amazing person.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
not your fault if people don't like you. That has nothing to do with you. As long as you live, people are not going to like you. But it's a lesson that I had to learn within Daryl. My aunt, my mom's sister, came to me because my brother and I, we stopped talking. And we're estranged right now. And it hurt me for a long time. But my aunt was like, it's not your fault. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? It's not your fault that he doesn't like you. You were created who you were.
Right.
A lot of people are living in their greatness, but because some heifer, some negativity came their way, it's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be great. Maybe I shouldn't sing. Maybe I shouldn't pursue that degree. Maybe I shouldn't pursue that relationship because they hate. It's not your fault.
That's deep. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation we're gonna have because I had to give myself permission to pursue my happiness. That's a whole nother
I mean, you
conversation.
ask me why I smile all the time. My
Yeah,
smile
yeah,
comes from
yeah.
a deeper place. My
Yeah,
life and everything that's going on comes from a deeper place, Walter.
yeah, yeah. This is good. This is good. Thank you so much for talking and being vulnerable and being open with us. This is the first of many. We're definitely going to have to get that panel together. I already have some men in mind that I would love to have
Yeah,
on this panel to discuss masculinity and being a man in 2021 here in America,
yeah,
a black man here in
yeah.
2021
A black man.
in
A
America.
black man. Let's talk about that.
Right, right. Now, I want to thank everyone once again for tuning in. You all are amazing. Really, my heart hurts this week because we lost one of my favoriteest actresses. Cicely Tyson
Yeah.
was one of my favorite. To me, she was so underrated. I cherish
Do you
her. I
think she
love
was
her.
underrated?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Look at what we give Betty White.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, no, yeah.
But Cicely Tyson stayed in her career was like 73 years long.
Yeah.
That's longer than most people live. And I'm a firm believer, because of the color of her skin, she didn't get her just due. Just like Maya Gibbs, is that her name? The one that did 227?
Maya
Uh,
Gibbs.
Mia Gibbs. I'm thinking
Marla Gibbs.
Marla Gibbs.
Marla Gibbs. I was gonna say
Lord, see,
Marla Gibbs.
I don't I
But
don't renamed
you
them.
know what? Okay, and you can
Uh-huh.
say this for another discussion, but we
Uh-huh.
need to have a discussion on colorism.
You are you are up my alley. I was gonna contact you about a conversation about that after I watched One Night in Miami. Have you seen that?
I
I,
have not yet, but I've heard about it. But yeah,
yes,
I'm
you've
ready
got to
for it.
watch it. And once you watch it, we got to have this conversation about colorism, because I'm not super light. I'm caramel complected,
You
but
caramel complexion, but you on the lighter side. You're not chocolate. You let's as a
uh-huh,
chocolate brother, as a chocolate.
uh-huh.
And let me just say this: shout out to Martinez because he on the light skin side too, and
Hmm.
some of y'all other listeners are on the light skin side too. They don't know what we go through on the chocolate side.
Okay.
So shout out to Cicely because she was a true chocolate sister.
She did. I just want to play this last package one more time for you all. Please share this video. This conversation needs to be heard. Okay. I'm Walt B. I'm gonna get on here. Walt B talking. Walt B talking shit. I'm gonna get on here and we're gonna bullshit again. But
I'm so proud of
conversations
you.
like this,
I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
You know I'm proud of you.
Conversation. I appreciate that.
I'm proud
we
of you.
we're gonna have to have this conversation. But I'm gonna come with the comedy. I'm gonna come with it. But we gotta have this conversation go viral. Tonight, we want to take a moment and remember Cicely Tyson, an actress who was the epitome of class, who was the epitome of success, and black don't crack. Her career spanned over 73 years. She was active from the years 1948 to 2021. Thank you, Cicely Tyson. We will forever remember you.
Last time, come to music, let the voices sing real quick. Down in the round on the back, some top, digging in the sea with the gangster lean. Y'all know we got to get this song. Come on, bring it forth like our people. Down